Hi lovelies, you're welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be cutting a palazzo trouser with side pocket and back zip, and these are the measurements needed for it. So my material is folded by 2 already, as you can see here. Now how I got how many inches that will be enough to cut out the front part is my round thigh measurement, which is 26 inches plus extra 7 inches. So when I fold it by 2, I'm going to be having 16.5 inches. Remember, this front part is folded by 2 already. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to take my hip point, my hip crouch point, and then my thigh line point. So now I'm going to go ahead and measure out 2 inches, and this 2 inches will be for the band. So my hip point is 8 inches, but I'm going to be marking 8.5 because of the joining with the band. Now my crouch point is 11.5, but I'm going to be making use of 12 inches because of that joining at the band. Now from that my crouch point, I'm going to come down by 4 inches to get my thigh line. I'll go ahead and rule a straight line on those points I marked out. So guys, my chalk is not really showing that much, but I'll try as much to explain better. So now after doing that, this is my hip line, my crouch line, and then my thigh line. Now from my crouch line, I'm going to take my hip circumference, which is 10.25 inches. Then I'll add extra 1 inch for ease. Very important. Now I'll go ahead and mark that 11.25 inches that I have on my crouch line, on my hip line, and also on my waist line. This is my waistline here. So now I'll go ahead and connect those points together this way. So now after doing that, from my crouch line, I'm going to come out by 2.25 inches. If the person is on a bigger size, or you are on a bigger size, you can make use of 3 inches. Now from this point here, I will just place my tape this way and mark out 1 inch, and then I'll connect it this way. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to take my round thigh measurement, which is 13 inches. Then I'll add extra 1 inch for ease, and then I'll go ahead and mark the point there. Now I'll go ahead to connect it this way to the down part. Now if you don't want this to have like a pencil shape, you can go ahead and make this straight, but I want mine to have like a pencil shape because I don't want the leg to be too big. Now after doing that, the next place I'm going to be working on is the waist part. I'm just going to remove 1/4 inch from here, and then I'll connect it this way, meeting my hip line this way, as you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is to come down by 1/2 inch from my waist point. You can come down by 1 inch, but I think 1/2 inch works for me. So now I'll go ahead and slant it this way. So this will make it to balance at that waist part when you put your band. Now I'll go ahead to take my waist circumference, which is 9 inches. Then I'll add 1 inch for the dart. I'll mark it there, and then I'll add 1 inch for ease. Very important. Now I'll go ahead from that point. I'll connect it this way, meeting my hip line. And then I'll cut this way all the way to the down part later on. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to take my dart measurement from the second line there. So I'll mark 4 inches. That is my nipple to nipple point, is 4 inches. Then now I'll go ahead to cut this part out this way. So just go ahead and open up the sides. Now I'll go ahead and trim out this place that I came down by 1/2 inch, and then I'll cut out the second line I have there on my waist line there, and then I'll cut it out this way. I'll just follow that mark that I have on the material. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to notch my dart point. I'm going to go ahead and notch it this way, and then I'll proceed to cut out the back part. So I'll be working on the pocket part, but after I'm done using it to cut out the back part. So I'll go ahead and place my front piece on top the back piece that is more longer in length and also wider than the front part. So I'm going to come out from the front waistline by 2.5 inches, and this is for the back crouch extension, and this is to cover up my bumps properly. That's the reason why I came up by 2.5. If you're on a bigger size, you can come up by 3 inches or 3.5. Now from the waist at the front part, I'm going to come out by 2 inches this way. Also on the hip part, I'll come out by 2 inches. Then I'll place my tape this way and I'll also come out by 2 inches. Now on my crouch line here, I'm going to come out by that 2.25 inches that I came out by for the front part. If you are on a bigger size, you can make use of 3 inches or 3.5 inches. So now after doing that, the next thing I'll do is to connect those points together. That 2 inches I marked out together this way, all the way to that 2.5 inches that I for the back part, for the crouch back extension. Now after doing that, I'm going to, from this part here, my tie line, I'll mark out 2 inches out this way. I'll mark this all the way down to the down part, just as you see me doing. After doing this, I'll go ahead and connect it together this way. Now the next thing I will do is to measure what I have on the front waist part, which is 11 inches here, as you can see. Now I'm going to go ahead and place my tape in a slant method from the top of that back material. I'll place in a slant method and I will mark out the 11 inches this way. Now I'll go ahead and connect it in that same slant method that I placed my tape. So this is for the back crouch extension. Now the next thing I will do is to mark out the hip point. I'll trace it out on the back part and then I'll go ahead and connect it this way, meeting that 11 inches for the waist line. So now after doing that, I'll just go ahead and cut this all the way to the down part. So now I'm going to remove this front part and I'll go ahead to cut out the back part. So now I'm done cutting out the back part. I'm going to take 4.5 inches for the dart wideness. So I make use of 4.5 inches at the back part because I hold the back part more to place the zip. Now this is the front piece. I'm going to be working on the pocket part. So from the waist, I'm going to come down by 6.5 inches. I'll just mark a point there. And then from the waist part, I'm going to come in by 1 inch this way. Now I will go ahead to connect it in a curve method. You can make use of straight method if you want, but I'm making use of a curve method. I'll go ahead and cut this out and then proceed to cut out the pocket for it. So now this is all for it. Now to cut out the pockets, I already cut out two pieces of this material, as you can see here. So I made use of 16 inches for the wideness, as you can see here, And then I made use of 11 inches for the length. You can make use of 13 inches, 14 inches, depending on how deep you want it to be. So later I'm going to be folding it this way to place the pocket. But before that, I make sure that the two right side are facing each other. Then from one side, I came down by 6.5 inches this way. And then the next thing I did is from the top part here, I came in by 1 inch. So now I'll go ahead and connect it in a curve method, the same way I did on the front of the palazzo. Now I'll go ahead and cut this. Remember, you're going to be cutting this from one side of this pocket, from one side, not the other side. Now I'll go ahead and cut this out. So when I open it, I'm going to have two pockets for the two sides. So this is for one pocket and this is for the second pocket. So I'll just go ahead and place this. Well, this is for the right pocket and this is for the left pocket, as you can see here. Now I'll go ahead to start sewing this palazzo. So now to start sewing this palazzo, this is the front part, this is the crouch part, and this is the pocket part. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to bring my pocket. I'll place that place that have the same curve as the pocket part. I'll place it right side facing right side, as you can see. Now I'll go ahead and sew it together this way. Now I'm done sewing it together this way, as you can see, with 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead and turn it this way and top stitch it from that pocket part. I'll make sure what I sew is facing that pocket part, then I'll top stitch it. So this is how I'm going to top stitch it. As you can see, it's facing that pocket part. The reason for this is because I don't want the stitching to be showing at the front of the palazzo. Now I'm done doing that. The next thing I will do is to place this pocket very well. So I'll place it this way. So watch closely how I'm placing this so that you will not so that you will understand. Now that remaining part that I did cut out for that pocket is going to be serving as the extension to complete that waist 1 inch that we came in by to get that curve of the pocket. So now I'll go ahead and then pin this down. So guys, the first thing I'm supposed to do is to take the dart of this palazzo, but I didn't take the dart of the palazzo, but do that first before you place the pocket. So I later realized this later on. So later I'm going to be placing the dart of the palazzo. Now I'll just go ahead and just place this very well. I make sure that place I top stitch is not showing at the front part this way. And this is basically all for this pocket part. I'll go ahead and then I'll stitch this together after I fix in my dart. Then I will sew this particular pocket part to close it. Now I'm done closing that pocket part, as you can see here. The next thing I'm going to do is to pin this down. You know, this is a chiffon material. That's the reason why it's very important you pin down in order for you not to sew and lose again. Now I'll go ahead and trim out the excess for this pocket. You know, the waist is a little bit slanted, so you're just going to make sure the pocket is fitting the waist shape. Now I've done that. So this is why I was telling you, you need to fix the that part before you place the pocket, but this is all for the pocket part. You can see how neatly this is. I've gone ahead to stitch the sides together now, and this is the replacement, that 1 inch that we took to get that curve for the pocket part. Now I'm going to go ahead and place, losing out that front part a bit, that is that waist part a bit, to place my dart. This part here is where I'm losing this part here. So now I'm done losing that waist part. I'm going to hold the dart by 1 inch, and then I'll stitch it to 4 inches downwards. So now I'm done stitching the dart. I came down by 4 inches. I hold it by 1 inch, and then I will sew the waist part back, and this is all for the front part of this palazzo. I'll be doing the same thing for the other side of this palazzo. Now I've done the same thing for the other side of the palazzo, and this is the other part I did before. So both parts, the left and the right side, is done. This is the pocket for the left and the right side. You can see how neatly this is looking. I'm going to go ahead now and join the crouch parts together. I'll face the two fronts together this way, the right side facing the right side, and then I'm going to use 1/2 inch to join the crouch parts together this way. So now I'm done joining the crouch parts with 1/2 inch together. I'll go ahead and open this up so you see how neatly this is looking on the outside also. So this is one side of the pocket. This is the crouch area that we just sew with 1/2 inch, and this is the other side of the pocket. You can see how neatly it is looking and how curvy the waist part is. So now I'll go ahead and sew the back part. So I've gone ahead to fix the darts of the back for the two piece. So I hold it by 1 inch, and then I came down by 5 inches for the dart length. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to join this together, right side facing right side. Then I'll make sure the two crouch parts is facing each other, the right side facing the right side, don't forget. And then I'll go ahead and pin this down. As you can see, I've gone ahead to do that. Now remember, I minus 2 inches for the band when I was crafting this. So now I'm going to go ahead and minus that 2 inches, and I will come down by 9 inches, and this is where my zip is going to, when I'm going to place my zip. So now I'll go ahead and mark that 9 inches down, as you can see. So from that 9 inches downwards, I'm going to close it with 1 inch from that place I marked 9 inches. Then when I'm coming closer to the crouch part, I will use 1/2 inch to close it down. So this is what I'm talking about. I use 1 inch from that upper part. Then when I came to that down part here, I use 1/2 inch. So now after doing that, this is what I have, as you can see. Now I'll go ahead and remove my pin and then open this up. I'm not with my zip for now, but I'm going to be using 1 inch for the zip space. That is, the 1 inch is the space to place my zip, and this is the down parts where I closed. Now the next thing I will do is to measure that 1 inch that I'm going to use to place my zip. I'm going to measure it out. Then from that point, that 1 inch I minused, I'm going to take my waist measurement, which is 9 inches. Then what I have remaining to shape this is 1/2 inches, as you can see there. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to notch out that 1 inch for the zip allowance. So I'll go ahead and do it. I'll notch it, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you how I'm going to place the zip this way. I'll place the zip this way, and this is just the space for the zip. Now the next thing I will do is I've gone ahead to pin this down because I'm going to be joining the front and the back together now, so I need to pin it down. So you can see how this is looking after, if assuming I place my zip now, this is how it's going to be looking, but I'll be doing that later on because I don't have zip with me. Now I'm going to be facing the front of the main front together to the front of the back this way. That is both front of the material will be facing each other. I'll go ahead and pin, then use half inch to sew both sides all the way to the down part. You can see how curvy the front of this palazzo is looking like. The reason for this is to make when you place the band, is to make the bands to sit perfectly. So it's very important you do that. Now I've gone ahead to sew this to the down, to join this to the back part with half inch for the both sides, and also for this other down parts here, which is the crouch part, I've gone ahead to use half inch to stitch it together. And this is how the front is looking like, guys. This came out so lovely. So the next thing I will do is to go ahead and fold the down parts of this palazzo, because that I left 1 inch to fold the down part when I was cutting it initially. So now I cut out 5 inches for the boldness of the band, and this is for the lining of the band and also for the main surface of the band. So I went ahead to cut 5 inches. When I fold this, I'm going to be having 2.5 inches, half inch for the sewing, half inch for the top stitching. Now I will go ahead and measure my waist circumference, and then I will leave like 7 inches excess. Then when I place this on my band, I'm going to be cutting the remaining excess out. So now this is how I'm going to fold it and then place on my palazzo trouser. Now if I measure what I have here, I'm going to be having 2.5 inches. So half inch will be for the sewing, half inch will be for the top stitching. So this is just like the lining and also the main front of the band that I cut out together. Don't know if you understand me. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to place this on my palazzo. So I brought out the back of this palazzo. This is the zipper part. I've removed the pins I placed there before. So this is the place I notch out for the zip. I'm just going to make sure that the two of them are of the same length, that one is not longer than one, in order for my band to sit perfectly. Now you can actually place your band this way. Just place the band from the front, right side facing right side this way, and then you sew round. But you will need to do inner weaving for it so that the material will not be losing bit by bit. So now, but this is not the pattern I'm going to be using for this palazzo. I'm just showing you another method you can attach your band. This is only if you are going to be weaving it the inside later on. Then you go ahead to place your zip with the 1 inch allowance you left for the zipper part all the way to the top part. But I'm not going to be using this method. So this is what I'm trying to explain. This part now will look like this. So except you weave it before it will look neat and to give you like a nice finishing. But if you're not weaving this, or you don't have the time to weave it, just go ahead and do it this method that I'm going to do it now. So I'll just go ahead and remove these pins. Now I'm going to bring out the back of the material itself, and then I'll place the front one side of the band. I'll place it this way. I open up the band, I'll place it this way. The right side of the band will be facing the wrong side of the palazzo from the zipper part. I'll place it this way. I will sew all round this way, just as you see me doing here. Now this is the excess. I'm going to go ahead and trim out a little bit of that. I'm going to trim out that excess but I'm still going to leave about 1 inch space because I've not actually top stitched it yet. So just look closely what I'm doing to understand this better. Now after doing this, I'm going to top stitch this from, so the top stitching is going to be coming towards the main front of the fabric this way. Now I'm going to use another 1/2 inch to top stitch this. So I fold 1/2 inch in wet and then I placed it on top. That's my waist line itself, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and top stitch this all the way to the other part. So when I place my tape now, I'm having 2 inches. As you can see here, I'm having 2 inches. So with this method, there's no need for you to weave the waist part later on. With this method I just did now, so I'll go ahead and top stitch this way all the way to the other part. So you will need to place this very well to make sure your previous stitching is not showing. Only the top stitching thread can be showing. Just make sure your previous stitching is not showing to give this a nice finishing. As you can see how this is looking very nice and neat. Look at how the back is very nice and neat. No rough edges, no rough mouth there. You can see the reason why I like using this particular pattern. So now I'm done top stitching on it, placing the band. I will go ahead now and cut out the excess on the zipper part, on the band I mean to say. So now I'm going to fold the leg with 1/2 inch, then another 1/2 inch, as you can see. Then I'll go ahead to sew this all around. I'll do the same thing for the other leg of this palazzo. You can also decide to fold it by 1 inch or by 2 inches. So after doing that, this is how neatly this is looking, as you can see. And this is the back part of this palazzo. I will attach my zip later on. I just went ahead to use my pin to just secure it. And this is the front part. You can see how nicely this front is looking, so curvy and fine. This will help to balance at the waist part. And then this is how the down of the palazzo is looking, the leg of the palazzo is looking. This is how neatly this came out, and I love it. As you can see, this is the pocket part. This is how this is looking like. So guys, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.